Dan?
And just as Dan or perhaps just as a point of clarification, Marla, you keep saying 645 versus 615.
Or less.
And although those are the numbers, that's not really how the payments work as per the explanation from the independent Mr. Peck. Actually, we stand to pay significantly less under almost all normal circumstances, sticking with the current loan. I mean, there's a number of there, I think Sherry was there as well. It's not 645 versus 615. We actually come out potentially, especially in the short term, a lot better because of the fixed rate, and then it's a variable rate based upon a low monthly, whatever the monthly rate is. So I think you're misrepresenting the information by putting out there at 645 versus
So
615.
let me put it in a different other way. If you're paying sewage and you have to pay part of that $645,000 loan, and we have to raise your sewage rate to pay that, wouldn't you rather have a $610,000 loan to pay back?
It's
So
not,
I'm seeing what
that's
you're
not the
saying.
math. Marla, you're confused. I hate to say you're confused, but you're confused. That's not the way the math works. That's not how you explain it. And maybe, sure, you can do a better job than I'm doing, but
Explain it now.
So if you have to pay $645,000 back a year, that's not $645,000 a year?
So this is Mr. Peck's draft. So that $645,000 a year is at 8%, I'm sorry, 5% interest. And that's the LIR plus 2.25 times 68%. When that number is up to or greater than 5%, you pay 5%. If that number is less than 5%, you pay less.
Okay, so what are we paying this year for the sewage?
643.
643.
Right, because you're locked right now for the first 7 years.
We're paying 643 a year at 2.48%.
2.48%.
Right.
This year we're paying 643.
So I do encourage you to talk to Mr. Pack, sit down with him, let him run the numbers. I think that's a great idea. I mean, when he was making the presentation, he mistakenly said 17 years at 2.48, and you go back and go, sign us up, okay? You know, if we can get a better rate, that's great. We just have to do our due diligence and make sure we understand all of the facets and make sure that we're serving the long-term benefits. So, you know, if you pay more at a lower interest rate, you know, you are paying on the principal.
Here's the challenge. If we explain to all the people who have sewage that this is your long-term benefit, that we have to raise their rates to do it, then who will we serve? That's our challenge.
But Mr. Peck can explain to you what he expects your interest rates to be, okay, the highest it's become, the lowest it's become, where you can expect to be over that period. He uses the 20-year average. He has laid out for you what your average yearly rate would be. I mean, I do encourage you to seek out that kind of guidance. And I'm encouraged that the board is willing to look at not just a bond, but, you know, to be refinanced through a bank. You know, what are all our options that make it the most financially feasible for the township?
I think what you're saying too, I think something we have to keep in mind is the fact that we're just looking at our options right now. We right now are not making any final decision. That's the key that needs to be understood in this room right now. Is the fact that we're just looking at our options.
And
Exactly
you know,
right.
if we get to the end and we look, they go through the
No
numbers,
decision
we
is
don't
going to be
do
made
that,
on any
we
specific
should be prepared to
changes.
say thank you
We
very much.
focus solely on looking and exploring our options.
Right now, we have to pick one,
Right.
and we're looking toward that.
And I just, the only point I was making is we got to be careful not to, you're saying alarming people by talking about $225 increases or whatever. By crystallizing it and saying 645 versus 615, that's not a true statement. That's misrepresenting what our actual cost would be, or
That's as bad as it can get.
yeah. That's as bad as you can get, but we can get a lot better. In fact, he showed that under normal circumstances in certain years, we'd be $1 million to the better over taking the fixed rates 3.5. Yeah, the other one. So I'm just saying, you're cautioning us about giving out this information. I think by packaging a statement like that, you're misleading the public.
No, you're right. It's possible over the long term we might have to pay more on some of these plans. But how many people in this room are paying sewage?
But you said
I'm
it
just saying,
again,
so the people who are
Marla,
paying-
it's much more likely
because everyone in here is saying they don't want us to go into a vault and they don't want to pay. Our responsibility is the people who are paying sewage. And we have to make our payments every year. 615 or 610 or whatever it is less than 643. So you are correct. I will grant you that. Over the long term, it might be a little more money. But if we cannot find it in our budget over the next 25 years to pay 643 a year, 615 or 610 is more affordable, the people will actually have to pay it. That's what I'm saying. That's actually.
You're still misleading people. If you look at the information Mr. Peck gives you and gave you and presented at that meeting, you come away with a much different message to be delivering to the audience. I mean, I'm sorry that not you, but continue to bring this up, but you're sending the wrong message to the people. I don't think I'm the only one who thinks
You
that.
paying sewage?
I'm the only one apparently.
Thank you. So you
No,
tell me.
no.
No, okay. That's the entire thing. Like for Main Street, when I moved here in 2004, my sewer bill was 85. Got a letter saying we're going to build a new plant, it's going up to 125 temporarily. Year and a half later, it went up to 175 temporarily. Going to go back down. Part of the reason was we needed to do it. We also built it larger to increase capacity with the expectation, from my understanding, we'd add on Fulmer and Babington and all these other roads that don't have access, which would increase the base of the sewer bill. Just straight up, one street up, you do Fulmer and you're gonna add how many houses we're gonna add. I pay $700 a year, there's at least 100 of us who are on sewer, we're covering the bills, that's fine. But when you say, we don't refinance it or do this or do that today, it's gonna double my bill again, it's scaring, just like he's trying to say. We all want the best deal, but we were upset last time because it just seemed like it was a rush out of nowhere. We were just surprised and shocked that this was suddenly a concern. So all we're asking, at least from my point of view, is just look at the best deal, and if this is the best one, if he financed it the first time and that people come with it, great. Right? Just don't try, you're saying 225, like you're throwing back the numbers that somebody else threw out.
We never said 225.
I mean, you never originally did, but you were saying.
None of
you
us have
have to
ever said we
increase
should
it.
charge 225.
I'm saying you're telling me you're going to possibly, if we have to go increase the bill, I don't see how we will be increasing my sewer bill if we're adding people to the sewer. Even if our low payment goes up,
We're not going to increase the sewer.
thank you.
Okay, we will not.
Okay, I'm just saying, if I was here when we had to increase it, okay, and I know, and it was not something that anybody wanted to do to us.
We're not increasing the sewer.
Right. We just want to make sure that financially we have the numbers right and that we're getting the best deal.
Okay. Mark?
Something else I want to clarify, Marla. I agree with what you say. You have a responsibility to the ratepayers, and they're the ones that are most directly impacted by all this. But you do indeed have a responsibility to the rest of the taxpayers, because the rest of the taxpayers are the collateral for this loan.
And so in either event, everybody's better off if we get a better deal.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
It impacts more people than potentially. It affects the future of everybody in the township.
Chuck?
Just wanted to say, I want to thank you for choosing Darrell, who struck me as a competent professional.
Absolutely.
I think you did the right word.
Well, we didn't yet, but that's what we want to do tonight. All right. I'll make a motion, we go with Darrell.
Second.
And it's just to see what we can do.
Explore
Okay?
options.
Any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I don't have any new business, I'm not sure if the board does.
It's not necessarily new business and it could be under a public comment, but ironically, we talked about filling a vacancy. Well, I promised to everybody in this room a few months back when I was selected that I would sit down and meet with as many people as I can, and that's what I've been trying to do over the past few months. If I have not sat down with you yet, I encourage you, please come up to me after this meeting, and I'd love to sit down with anybody and everybody from the township, really get a better understanding of all the top issues that you feel are impacting the township, good and bad. I'd love to, again, sit down with you. I've sat down with a number of people already in this room, and I really appreciate the time that each of you have taken to do that with me. So thank you.
Bill?
Bill Smith, 2 o'clock Girl Up Road. I had the chance to meet with Chuck, and I think we spent probably 2 hours together conversing, and I really do appreciate the exchange of ideas. We're not always on the same page with everything, but I think hearing each other's point of view was very meaningful to me, and I think it really you deserve a lot of credit for that outreach. Thank you.
Thank you.
I second that.
Thank you.
Going on to number 8, public comment.
I promise not sooner. I'd like to propose to the board, how do I request additional speed limit signs on Spring Mountain Road as well as school bus stops signs? My son, I have children, I'm right on Spring Mountain Road. I know there's another family that just started kindergarten on the other side of the Township building, and now their bus stop, as well as we have the school down the street. And I know that the police department and the traffic committee has been doing a lot, especially in the townhomes with the speed limit, but there is really only, I think there's one street sign speed limit, I want to say all the way down at the end of the intersection. But I think if we increase the speed limit signs just so that people have visibility, and also make it visible up and down Spring Mountain, or the best location, that we put additional signage with regards to school bus crossings and stops. I think, unfortunately, I literally stand at the end of my driveway and yell at drivers who are going way too fast on Spring Mountain Road. And I have a child that is crossing that street every day. And unfortunately, when they get on the bus stop in the morning, they can go right from the driveway. But coming home, he does have to cross Spring Mountain Road, and I think it's important to bring visibility to those people who are going through our community that that is a school bus and that is a 25-mile speed limit. So I'd like to propose that we get additional signage for Spring Mountain Road.
Okay.
Well, I can. I would be happy to assist the township and the board by reviewing the appropriate distances and application of the speed limit signs along Spring Mountain Road. But before you pay me to do that, I know that the police department and the township roadmaster have actually worked in concert to ensure that speed limit signs have been installed at appropriate spacing on other roads in the township. And they might be able to address that for you and save you that hour of my time.
Okay.
Do we need to vote or just pass them?
No, I think we just have to talk to Tom.
I mean, I'll buy the signs. I don't care.
I think for Carol's suggestion, we'll have the road crew and our police work together and move on that.
And I'll be happy to provide you supplemental information.
Bob?
Yeah, the school bus sign issue has come up a dozen times over the last year or so. Obviously, over on Village Drive, they have a concern. Up on Zieglerville, there's a concern. In Cedar Hill, there's a concern. On Main Street, there's a concern. And obviously now, Carol's bringing them over on Spring Mountain. In the past, Carol stated to me that the way things were done years and years ago was the homeowners had to pay $450 for the 2 signs. I've tried to find it in our ordinances or resolutions or anything. I can't find it anywhere. We brought this up to you before. We were hoping to get this done before school started. We're into school now. The safety of our children are of the utmost. So
Let us see what we can do.
whatever we can do. Thank you. One more thing about the traffic county committee. The printer got it back to us on Friday at 1 o'clock. They were delivered over to Fred at Schwenksville Post Office. I talked to several residents already. They received them on Saturday and also today. So the surveys are out. People are already voting on survey mode.
This is a completely different topic if we're done talking about the traffic. It's about the minutes and the procedure that we use. I just recently read the minutes from the July 3rd meeting, and I was misquoted in them. and I'll read this. Warren Jacobs further added that the LFT needs to be aware of any possible contaminants which may be included in waste accepted outside the township. This was when we were having a discussion of the possibility of bringing an outside waste to the sewer plant.
Right.
What I actually said was, in a rebuttal to somebody that said something similar to that, I don't understand how the chance of contaminants getting into a private system is any greater than the chance of somebody flushing some kind of contaminants into our sewer system, which is exactly the opposite of what I was quoted as saying. My question, I guess, first off, I can fix that if you don't mind, Kevin, or else strike it from the minutes, because I don't like having my words turned around backwards. But second, the public doesn't get to see the minutes until after they're approved. They don't get posted until after they're approved. And if at some point there are mistakes in them, which there have been in the past, it would be nice if we could correct them. And at some point, there might be a dispute. Maybe somebody will disagree with what somebody else says. So I'm just suggesting maybe it would be wise to keep that little tape of the meeting a little bit longer than just until the meeting minutes are approved.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion. Maybe we could keep it like another couple months.
At least give the public a chance to read them.
That's a good suggestion. I want to ask Tom a question. Can we alter the minutes after they're approved, and what's the process for that?
Well, you've done it before.
I haven't done it.
You've asked for it to be done. I think so.
We can certainly publish another sheet that shows what we amended. Original still stands and have an amendment.
Kevin, can you make that correction then? And then.
Yeah, I'll get with you to see exactly what he said.
Want to just send him?
You want to just send an email to me? Or I'll get with you after the meeting. I'll get with you after the meeting.
All right.
So we heard from Melbourne Bills tonight. Has there been any other discussion for any of the properties along Little, Big, or Simmons Road for developments?
Nothing that I know of. And there was nothing that come in from all Little Road at all.
No.
No.
And then the other thing was, this past month, I attended the Montgomery County Farmland Preservation meeting, the monthly meeting. Really interesting meeting, so interesting to be the only person from the public there, so I guess it's not well attended. The interesting thing was there was a handful of farms that were up to preservation this year, and they're ready to fund them, but the specific townships were not willing to offer up a match, a 50% match. And basically, those farmers, those lands, probably won't have funded for at the final terms of measures. So as we go down the path of taking comprehensive plans, open space, we have a rural character all the time. Let's keep that in mind that at the end of the line, we need to raise some money for open space. So I encourage us to think about ways to raise money for open space. And as we go through any comp plans or anything we talk about, to think about involving farmland preservation and the county conservation or anything along those lines, how that money can be used in the future.
I think a lot of other communities have like an open space fund, and I know like Perkiomen Township in particular, they have like millions, they have a lot of money, so they're buying the land like crazy, but is that something they've ever looked at before?
They probably have a tax to do that as well, too. They probably have an open space tax.
Yeah.
It's just something to think about, some of these farmers. One of the things that came up from the supervisor from over Southwark, is one of the board members, and basically mentioned the fact that people who apply for this, sometimes they don't tell the townships that they're applying for it, so then all of a sudden the county comes and says, we're ready to do this, we just need several $100,000 from you. So I guess just, again, always encourage the board and private land owners to talk to each other along with the county. If it's something that they do plan to do, that's not a surprise request for hundreds of thousands of dollars at the last minute, and then it gets denied. So just a thought.
Townships chipping in is a relatively new angle. That was
chime in for, as a person who's worked in this area of open space preservation since the early 90s. You know, seed money is so very critical to preserving our rural character and open spaces. And unfortunately, you know, one of the things Tom just pointed out is it's not required, but, you know, by virtue of the fact that some of the programs that we once relied on are no longer available to us, I really think as a municipality, we need to seriously consider how to provide some of the seed money that would make possible open space purchases a reality here in our township. And it may come as a, you know, a small contribution, 15% or something like that, rather than, you know, taking on the whole 100% necessary to purchase a property. But those funds are critical. And as we start to develop out and build out our community, it's going to become more and more important to preserve those important areas that still remain that we want to, you know, cherish into the future. So I endorse the consideration of the board in the future to look to an avenue to provide those kind of seed funds that are necessary to make that happen.
Yes.
Gail Gossett, Girl Road, and this is back to what Terry Bird said, and I think that one of the things that we need to do, personally, I believe we need to do as a township and as a society is to support farmers and local farmers, and the land has become so expensive for them to actually do what we depend on, which is growing food, raising cattle for meat, or whatever, for our food, that I think that it's our responsibility to give them the tools they need to help them keep their farms or purchase farms so that they can grow for us. That's my opinion.
Thank you. That is? No, yes.
Bean cracks, I actually live in Harleysville with my daughter, live right across the street on Goshen Road. We're here about like, David Wallace suggested we come here tonight. I feel like this might not be the proper venue for this situation. But he's telling my daughter that she needs to move a shed that we built. She moved in 4 years ago, built a shed 2 years ago. Right, we tore a shed down, it was falling down when she bought the house, and put it right there. And you could take a string line and put it right alongside the property line. 6 of our 7 neighbors have sheds right along, and the string line would go right down the line. And he can't really give me answers as to why she's being singled out. So he suggested I come here.
How is she being singled out, sir?
Well, there's 6, 7 sheds.
And what's he asking her to do?
To move it 5 feet, which there was no disagreement at all.